Ohayou gozaimasu. Good morning and aloha. Tyler Tokioka, Sal Miwa, and I were honored to serve as the co-chairs of the Gannenmono committee. The committee represented 20 or so nonprofit organizations in Hawaii that celebrate the US-Japan-Hawaii relationship called the Kizuna Group. It all started from a simple request of the then Consul General of Japan in Honolulu, Consul General Misawa, 2 years ago, who wished to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the arrival of the Gannenmono in 2018. Very casual request. He shared the idea with many community and government leaders. The Kizuna Group was then appointed to not only talk about the Gannenmono, but to put a whole year-long celebration into motion. We were so honored with the visit of the Imperial Highnesses Prince and Princess Akishino to the symposium that was held in June, and to share the occasion with the Association of Nikkei and Japanese abroad that totaled 300 members from around the world. As co-chairs of the Gannenmono Committee, we are happy to share with you, all of you this morning, a video that we created that may surprise many of you. This video was prepared for and shown at the Gannenmono Symposium in June. As we prepared the festivities, we each had our own vision of what the last 150 years meant to us. Meant to us Hawaii Japanese Americans, meant to the Japanese, meant to the Americans. Why did they come? Why did they stay? What was the relationship between the Kingdom of Hawaii and Japan? And why was it so special? Through this experience, we are now more knowledgeable about the past, passionate about the legacy, and desirous of sharing the history of friendship with many. Please consider this as you view this video. Those Gannenmono that stayed in Hawaii are now 6th and 7th generation strong. They are proud of their Japanese heritage and will continue to share the Gannenmono legacy into the future generations. The royalties of Hawaii and Japan have built a unique history that Dr. Ogawa will explain, that may explain the depth and strength of friendship between Hawaii and Japan today. We truly hope you enjoy the short clip.
And then after the video, Dennis Ogawa, professor and chair of the American Studies Department at the University of Hawaii, will discuss the history behind the Gannenmono coming to Hawaii. Thank you and enjoy the video.
'67 actually is a very tumultuous year in Japan. The time where the shoguns rule on behalf of the emperor, that time was over. And that's what started what the Japanese call the Boshin War. It's basically a civil war. Almost exactly the same time that an American named Eugene Van Reed, who was in Yokohama. Actually, he was an American businessman, but he was working on behalf of the Kingdom of Hawaii, and he puts out a notice on behalf of the kingdom and the sugar plantation owners to recruit Japanese people to work in the plantations back in Hawaii.
My Gannenmono ancestor is Sentaro Ishii, and he is my great-grandfather. And he came to Hawaii because he was trying to get away. He was a samurai.
I know that he left his sword somewhere along the way going to Yokohama, to where the ship is.
Their treatment was bad. They were treated very bad. They were beaten. They basically work sun up to sundown, right? Sun up to sundown, no breaks. If they were sick, didn't matter, still had to work.
I am the Gannenmono descendant of Tokujiro Sato. But he worked as a laborer on the plantation, and then he later was contracted to work for Samuel Parker of Parker Ranch.
Becomes their carpenter, their butcher, their cook, really becomes a part of their ohana. So I think that's pretty profound that he decided to make a life for him. This is our tutu, Kalala and Tutu Tokojiro. And you can tell we actually had a photographer help us look really good at this photo because she looks very Japanese. Very Japanese. You can tell by her hair and how she's dressed. And so he had said that back in the day, how we had editing for photos, you can tell that they did edit her photo. And they get married in Manoa, which is in the Waimea area. They get married in Waimea, have some of their children there, are for our great-great-grandmother, Ohomukini, is the firstborn of that union. After some of the children are born there, they then move to Waipio Valley, where Kalala is actually from, and they raise the rest of their children in Waipio Valley. He spoke fluent Hawaiian. He helped so many people because he could do that.
And he took his place in the community to share the language and the culture because he was not of this land, but yet he embraced it all. And he became a part of it 100%.
Why does Kalakaua want a meeting? Because he wants to express to the emperor his feelings for Japanese. And that's the Gannenmono. The Gannenmono for Kalakaua is a living testament. What he's saying to the emperor is that the Japanese are special. And Kalakaua's words are they chose to cast their lot together with the people of Hawaii. Because that unites not just Japanese and Hawaiians, that unites everyone to this day in terms of those who have chosen to work, stay, to have cast their lot together. That's all of us who love Hawaii.
So in late 2015, my sister and I finally accepted the responsibility, or kuleana, to take our place as kumuhula here in Kona. And we opened up our halau ka'ea ikahelelani.
I think it's profound and timely that this is happening now, especially where we are in our lives with celebrating the Gannenmono this year in their 150th anniversary. And we'll be taking a piece of theatrical work with our students to Hiroshima in May, and then hopefully back here to Kona to share on our Hawaii Island the story of Toko and how he comes from Japan to Hawaii Island.
It's important to share the stories because we need to know our roots. We need to know where we come from, who we come from.
The appreciation and the gratitude we have for our ancestors and what they had to overcome and what they had to do to make the brave choices they had to make.
During this whole Gannenmono celebration, that's what we're learning about the different families.
I have only 1/8 Japanese and 1/8 Hawaiian, but still, you know, I'm proud of that. The legacy that is with me.
And for my children and my grandchildren, I want them to be very proud of their heritage. Yeah.
We have now become that bridge, as my sister would say, to the past and actually moving forward to the future.
Next, I'd like to bring up Dr. Dennis Ogawa to give a few remarks. He was the leading professor and researcher on this project, and we'd love to hear a little bit more about your thoughts.
Thank you very much. It's truly an honor for me to say a few words related to the Gannenmono. The Gannenmono is the living testament of what the U.S.-Japan Council and all of us are all about, and that's having a very strong belief in the value of human people-to-people relations. And when Kalakaua, the king of Hawaii, he's going to make a decision. He wants to visit Japan, and this is in 1881, and he's going to do it Hawaii style. He's not going to have official type of itinerary and, kind of like an agenda already set. He's just going to go with two of his classmates. And he just wants to humbly just pay his respects and to actually physically go to Japan. And so they're on the ocean liner and they're going to Japan. And as they get close to Japan, he figures they better try to find a hotel. So there's one Japanese who they think speaks a little English. So they asked, and they got lucky. Yeah. So he said he knew of a hotel, so they thanked him. So that's how informal it was, headed to Japan. And then as they start to enter Yokohama Harbor, the captain of the ship asked Kalakaua, would you like to get onto the top deck so you can kind of see Japan? He said, oh, great. So he gets on the top deck, and this is his first view coming into Yokohama Harbor. And what he's going to see first are 3 man-of-war battleships. And as the ocean liner comes past the first, it's a 21-gun salute. Boom, 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 boom. And then so he's like kind of surprised. And then as it goes to the next battleship, boom, 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 another 21-gun. And then the third, boom, boom, another 21-gun salute. And then it shocks him. He knows what's happening. They're welcoming him. So he's a little like, didn't know what to do. And then he sees this small boat coming to the ocean liner, and then certain individuals are getting off, and they look like dignitaries. And what they're doing is they're coming to pay respects to Kalakaua. And they're also going to ask him personally if he can be the special guest of the emperor. And so Kalakaua is now like, really, this is beyond being surprised. And then they ask Kalakaua if he can come to the dock. And so when he gets off, and this is going to be his first foot in Japan, when he gets off, when he touches Japan, all of a sudden this band starts playing, and they're playing really loud. It's the emperor's band. And they're playing the Hawaii national anthem, Hawaii Pono'i. And Kalakaua, he just starts crying. It's just too much. It's just too moving. They're going all out for him. Now, Kalakaua is very well educated. He can hold his own, in terms of any kind of environment. And, in England or France or wherever, he is well versed in all the proper etiquette, of royalty. But he emerges, his image emerges for the Japanese as someone who's very warm-hearted, someone who's very kind, someone who is just overly touched, by the hospitality that the Japanese are extending. So what happens is that they stay overnight in an emperor's guest house in Yokohama, and then the next day they go to Tokyo, Edo, to meet and pay formal sort of respect to the emperor. So when they go, and Kalakaua is going to meet the emperor, everyone goes into shock. This meeting is shocking because the emperor is the emperor, And so when Kalakaua goes to the emperor, he doesn't really know what he's doing. You know, it's just coming from the heart. And so he shakes the emperor's hand, you know, and the emperor shakes his hand. And now everyone goes into shock. You know, I mean, in the history of Japan, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, no one has ever gotten that close to the emperor physically. You know, someone comes to visit the emperor, they're way off in the distance, you know, and their head is low and they're almost crawling, you know. In many situations, there's a curtain in front of the emperor, so you don't even see the emperor, you know. And when certain people leave, everything is throwing salt and all kinds of negative vibes, or no, really, yeah. And so everyone's in shock because they're shaking hands. And again, Kalakaua is very intellectual. He's really, you know, he can be very proper, but they're just shaking hands. And the emperor, he can be very austere. He can be very, very sophisticated in his own way, huh? But he's just shaking hands, you know. So everyone, you know, and you know, certain historians, when I say this story, they're telling me, "Oh God, you shouldn't talk like this. We need documentation, you know, we need something." And of course, as a professor, I have documentation, you know. So I have Kalakaua's official diary. It's written in Hawaiian, and I have the emperor's diary. And this is what the emperor says on the handshake. His heart was filled with joy. It was for real. And Kalakaua says he don't know what he was doing, you know, but he was tearing up. And what everyone felt was, you know, there are certain individuals you like from the beginning. Something bonds. There's some sort of very positive chemistry. And that's what happened. A lot of people don't understand this, but the Emperor of Japan, the King of Hawaii, Kalakaua, they became very close friends. And not like formal friends. This is personal. And so that's the beginning. And then what happens? Kalakaua is only supposed to stay for 2 days. He ends up staying 19 days. You know, he's just amazed and just falls in love with every aspect of Japan. But Kalakaua is going to shock, and the emperor is going to shock again in terms of a meeting. Kalakaua is going to ask for a private meeting with the emperor. That's unheard of. And especially during the first few days that he arrives. It's never been done. Okay? But they have a private meeting. And what Kalakaua wants to do is he wants to really express how he feels about the Japanese. And he wants to talk about the Gannenmono. 150 Japanese called the Gannenmono will come to Hawaii to work. Within 3 years, 100 will leave. 50 will stay. And Kalakaua wants to talk about the 50 who stayed, because that 50 is the beginning of it all. This is the Issei, the pioneer. And not just for Hawaii Japanese, for everyone who's left Japan. And what Kalakaua is saying is that there's something very special about these individuals. And he feels very close to them. And so that's what he wants to express to the emperor. And what he says is that these individuals, out of their own free will, they chose to work in Hawaii. They chose to stay in Hawaii. They chose to cast their lot together with all of us in Hawaii to try to make Hawaii a better place. Kalakaua says the Japanese are welcome to Hawaii. And he, invited the emperor and all of Japan to please come to Hawaii. They are really welcome. And this is not only the king of a kingdom saying it, these are the people of a kingdom saying it. And because of the relationship of Kalakaua and Emperor Meiji, the Issei will now start coming, the first generation. Japanese will start coming to Hawaii. The first ship will have almost 1,000. And waiting at the dock for the 1,000 coming off is the king, Kalakaua. and he's going to welcome each personally. So when we think of the early history of the Gannenmono, it's really a living testament, and it's a testament of what all of us here value, and that's the importance of people-to-people human relationships. Thank you very much.